I was going to tell you a bit more now about the plans for the year ahead and trying to pick up on some of the feedback already heard, and there'll be some more opportunity then to discuss briefly afterwards in terms of, any questions that may raise what I'm going to say. But before I do that, I just wanted to briefly, again, for context and also in terms of maybe to understand, for you better to understand where we feel currently we are, is, so 1 year back, what did you think when the review was published? Did you think we were really going to implement it all, that we would get as far as we did? And if I'm honest, I was quite ambivalent at the time. On the one hand, I was really sort of encouraged by the strong feedback we were getting from all the stakeholders. It felt like almost you were egging us on to do radical change. And on the other hand, it was quite daunting and challenging, and because particularly I knew how many more inspectors we had to train so that we could schedule all these new inquiries coming in on top of everything that we had already in that we still needed to see out. So we knew it was going to be challenging, and it was actually really challenging. But now we're we're quite encouraged now by having achieved so much, and therefore wanting to build on that now, but also very aware that in a way the bit that was meant to enable us, the technology improvement, despite actually at the time thinking we had put on lots and lots of contingency time, we still haven't actually managed to deliver the inquiry module. However, we have actually, even though I can't show it to you yet, we have actually managed to make quite a lot of progress in that area too, in that we've already heard earlier, we've started with the beta testing for the written reps appeals, and then gradually sort of building that functionality up, going ever more complex. And I suppose with inquiry appeals being the most complex of the planning appeals, it's logical that they come last, which why we're still waiting at the moment. And so I suppose the good side is, because we are coming last, there is also an advantage to that, because as testing it, a key element of it is kind of reacting to the feedback we're getting from the test users and improving on it. And so when we get it on the inquiry side, the initial product should already be that much better. So I suppose that's the silver lining on the cloud. And that's partly also the reason why it's been taking a bit longer in getting to where we are now, because we want to react to that user feedback and to make sure we improve those early snagging issues that haven't been working that well. And so I'm going to show you what it currently, and just don't get too dragged into the detail because it's all still to be confirmed, but just to kind of illustrate this point that we're juggling quite a lot here. We have quite a number of things to deliver in addition to the major casework, the inquiries portal or the inquiries module. There's also enforcement. We heard about earlier how desperate in a way we are to see improvements in the enforcement area. There, we also need to do the national infrastructure work because we've got some really big projects coming in on that side of things as well that we need to make sure we can better service. There is then all our back office stuff that we need to sync with it, and particularly the charting. So there's an awful lot that needs it's a jigsaw which has moving parts, and particularly because of those amendments, those improvements that I've talked about, which then have a tendency to grow the scope and why things have slipped. Having said that, it is settling down now, and we are confident that in terms of starting the work on the inquiries module, that will now happen very soon. And then it's a question in terms of when we can go live with it. It is at the moment still a bit unpredictable, going back to how what I said already about how many amendments we still need to make on top of the work that's already been happening for the written reps work. But we should definitely, I would say, over the next 6 months, we should be able to see something also on the inquiries front, so that by the time we deliver the end of the review, that we are on track to also have it all delivered. And anyway, that won't be the end. You know, like Sarah has said earlier, it is very much a sort of continuous improvement journey for us, where we will constantly want to build on that feedback that we're getting to make sure we build in that improvement. And also, in the meantime, and not that that's a mean feast what we're trying to do there, I expect that will keep us quite busy in actually achieving this. But at the same time, we're also starting to scope the next steps. What will be the next technology improvements be? Knowing now how long they take, we just need to make sure we start early enough. So the next step will be around live streaming. How can we enable remote participation so that then in future years we can actually introduce that, because we've done the early legwork. And we're already seeing sort of some key challenges in that area. So identifying the challenges in a way is easy. Is on the one hand, making sure that we can have the kit available where the inquiry is, making sure we can have it available in the time scale of the process, which is quite much more challenging now with it being much tighter, that it's affordable, and then who pays for it. So it kind of goes a bit into that question as well that was raised around venues. But it's definitely on the radar, and we will work our way through it one by one. And at the same time, that won't be the only thing, clearly, that we're planning to build on and that we're improving. The other key area where we want to sharpen the focus is around improving the practice. Very much like we've been talking there in the sessions around, and thank you for all that great feedback, because that will very much help now in doing this continuous improvement and building on that. And specifically the statements of common or uncommon ground guidance is something we've already got planned to, as I said earlier, to issue an interim update, and then there'll be another update, hopefully that time on the portal. But yeah, so that it is something that we keep iterating. Having heard all the feedback today, we may take a little bit longer to actually do the interim guidance that is imminent, but make sure we build in more from what we've heard today. That's always the sort of juggling act, you know, where do you draw the line in terms of, do you rather do it sooner but don't have quite so much in it, or do you take longer but therefore people have to wait longer? Anyway, it's imminent. And the other thing that is that we're currently busily working on is the next update of the action plan, which is due in February. So we submitted to MHCLG by the end of February. Therefore, it will be published early March, and we'll say more then in terms of the details in there if we haven't already published it by then. But I think, as I said, having heard today, we'll probably rather take a tiny bit longer and then maybe do the update in March with a bit more in it. Equally, we shall be saying more about the portal in that update, as well as about all the other recommendations that we just don't have time to go about it all in detail today. I'll just click on. And so as part of this continuous improvement, there's sort of 3 areas that we've specifically identified. It's around, as I said, sharpening focus, around consistency, and proportionality as well, to make sure that how we examine inquiries is very much proportionate to the issues in question in each case, and therefore more videos, more templates, definitely more training. I've already referred to the training we've got planned for the ATE, but equally we will be doing more training in sort of subgroups and in professional networks, and to keep that alive and continuously build on the good practice. And where feedback is always very welcome. If you had particularly good experiences, then we definitely want to hear about them, because that's really useful, particularly to then point out to others. Otherwise, I might not hear about it, and it's always useful to hear if you think there's a good example that we should use to draw on to train others on. Please do let us know about the other experiences as well, so we can try and address these matters. And I think this point we talked about, it's really encouraging to hear that there seems to be demand out there for our inspectors to take more of a proactive approach, which is great, because actually the sense I'm getting from most of our inspectors is there's a real appetite for it as well, to be more proactive. We do definitely need to make sure we bolster that and support that with training. And but yeah, in that sense, I'm really optimistic that we're going to achieve, again, quite a lot more this year. And I've already mentioned the scoping and exploring around virtual examinations. Again, any useful any suggestions, examples, very gratefully received. And we also mentioned earlier around expanding into other areas of casework where relevant. Clearly, enforcement and hearings will be the key areas, or the first ones where we're doing this. We're still working it up and actually doing a bit more gradually, mainly because of the much larger numbers involved and because it's different, so we need to be cautious wearing the black hat. But definitely that is the direction where we're going. I'm very keen to make those improvements, and where I think we also see the opportunity for much more synergies in this coming year by having the portal developed now to the stage we have in the other areas, and where it's getting to on the inquiries module as well, which will then be definitely the sort of jumping off point to go much more electronic. And some will be jubilant about this and others much more frightened. But yeah, that is definitely the direction we want to go in, and so it's really useful to have your feedback. If there's anything else that comes to you afterwards where you think, oh, I wish I'd said that, or that would be really useful if you could say that when you update your guidance, then do drop us a line and we will definitely consider that. So to summarise, we're confident that we can definitely maintain the new ways of working. We have now worked through that lump that I referred to earlier that was looking so daunting. We've worked through so most of the old cases are out of the systems, and therefore we can fully concentrate on the new ones now. The eagerly awaited portal is coming, and we can therefore build on this and keep improving it, and generate those synergies then that the learning that we've already now been able to generate from the last year and married together with the opportunities that the portal gives us, that should actually accelerate things a lot more. And so I'm confident that we are actually on track to deliver our part of the review by June. And as I said, we will not stop there. We will keep going with continuously improving and to deliver more innovation for the benefit of all parties.